In the heart of the upscale Magnolia Bistro, where crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over polished marble floors, Emily Carter balanced a tray of empty glasses with practiced ease. She was a 22-year-old college student, her apron stained from a long shift serving the city's elite. Her days were a blur of textbooks and trays, each shift a step closer to her dream of graduating without crushing debt. But tonight, her patience was wearing thin, stretched to its limit by the occupants of Table 12. 3 impeccably dressed men sat there, radiating an aura of untouchable wealth. Business tycoons, you could tell by their tailored suits and flashy accessories. They had dined lavishly, feasting on steak au poivre and sipping vintage wine, racking up a bill that could cover Emily's rent for an entire month. With a deep breath, she approached their table, the small leather billfold feeling heavy in her hand. She placed it discreetly on the table, offering a polite, "Whenever you're ready, gentlemen." The leader of the trio, a broad-shouldered man with a smug grin permanently etched on his face, didn't even glance at the total. He simply pushed the check back towards her with a flick of his wrist. "Do you really expect us to pay for this slop?" He sneered, his voice dripping with condescension. His gold Rolex caught the light, winking at her like a cruel metallic eye. His companions chuckled, their eyes gleaming with a shared, unpleasant amusement. They looked at her as if she were a bug to be flicked away. Emily's heart began to pound against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of anxiety and indignation. But she held her ground, her training kicking in. She had faced rude customers before, but this was different. This was a deliberate, calculated cruelty. "Sir, if there's an issue with the service or the food, I'd be happy to fetch the manager for you," she replied. Her voice was steady, a small victory, though she could feel a slight tremor in her hands. The men only laughed harder, a harsh, barking sound that echoed in the refined quiet of the bistro. "The manager?" the leader scoffed. "Sweetheart, we are the managers of our own wallets. Our status exempts us from such trivialities." He leaned back, puffing out his chest. They began to mock her, their words like tiny, sharp daggers. They called her little girl, dissected her uniform, and declared her efforts entirely worthless. Each word was designed to diminish her, to make her feel as small and insignificant as they clearly believed she was. Trapped in a whirlwind of fear and frustration, Emily felt the weight of her exhausting day pressing down on her. She thought of her overdue textbooks, the rent notice on her fridge, the sheer physical and mental toll of her double life as a student and a waitress. She needed every single dollar she earned. This wasn't just about a meal, it was about her survival, her future. A spark of defiance flickered within her. She was tired, yes, but she wasn't broken. Summoning a reserve of inner resolve she didn't know she had, she stood a little taller. "I'm sorry, sir, but you consumed the food and the wine." "You must pay the bill," she insisted, her voice gaining strength. "If you refuse, I will have no choice but to call the owner." The men exchanged amused glances. The threat was meaningless to them. "Call whoever you want, little girl," the leader said with a dismissive wave. Some people just don't know their place. They pushed their chairs back, preparing to leave, utterly confident in their power, and completely unaware that fate, in its mysterious way, was about to turn the tables on them in the most spectacular fashion. Their arrogance had set a chain of events in motion, and the consequences would be far more costly than a simple dinner bill. The bistro was buzzing with the usual sounds of dinner service. Glasses clinking, low chatter, but at table 12, the air was thick with tension, heavy and dark like gathering storm clouds. You could practically cut it with a knife. Emily stood her ground, her mind racing. This wasn't just about respect. This job was her lifeline. It was how she supported her younger brother. Backing down simply wasn't an option. Across from her, the 3 men leaned back in their chairs, a smug look on their faces. They crossed their arms, a silent, arrogant challenge. One of them, a guy with a loud watch and an even louder mouth, taunted her, "Go on then. Call your precious owner." "We'd love to see that." His friend chimed in, laughing. "Yeah, like a billionaire, Jonathan Sullivan has time to deal with a little waitress and her problems. He's probably on a yacht somewhere, not worrying about the likes of you." It was at that exact moment, as if summoned by the sheer audacity of their words, that the heavy oak doors of the bistro swung open. A silence fell over the room for a split second as every head turned towards the entrance. A commanding figure stood there, surveying the scene. It was Jonathan Sullivan, the man himself, the enigmatic billionaire who owned not just this bistro but a vast empire of businesses. He wasn't dressed like a billionaire from the movies. No flashy suit, no entourage. Just a simple, well-fitting button-down shirt that did nothing to hide the aura of power he carried. His most striking feature was his eyes, a piercing blue that seemed to see everything. And right now, those eyes were locked onto the drama unfolding at table 12. As he strode towards them, the noisy chatter in the restaurant died down to a whisper. Emily's heart, which had been pounding with anxiety, now beat with a flicker of hope. Her eyes widened, a wave of relief washing over her. He stopped at the table, his presence alone shifting the entire atmosphere. "What's the issue here?" he asked. His voice was calm, not loud, but it was laced with an undeniable authority that cut through the tension. This was her chance. Seizing the moment, Emily took a deep breath and recounted the entire ordeal. She explained how the men had run up a huge bill, refused to pay, and then started mocking and belittling her when she insisted. She didn't exaggerate, she didn't get emotional, she just stated the facts, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. Jonathan listened. He didn't interrupt. He gave her his full attention, his expression changing from mild curiosity to a cold, steely resolve. His jaw tightened. When Emily finished, he slowly turned his gaze to the three men. The smugness had evaporated from their faces. They were fidgeting, looking anywhere but at him like schoolboys caught red-handed. "So," Jonathan began, his voice dropping to a dangerously quiet level, "you think it's acceptable to disrespect my staff?" The silence that followed was deafening. The men started to stammer, trying to cobble together some sort of excuse. It was a misunderstanding," one of them mumbled. But Jonathan wasn't having any of it. He cut them off with a sharp, decisive gesture. "My employees," he said, his voice ringing with conviction, "are the heart of this establishment. They are the reason this place runs. Without their dedication and hard work, you wouldn't be sitting here enjoying your meal. Without them, this bistro is just an empty room." He paused, letting his words sink in. The power dynamic had completely flipped. The man's earlier arrogance had crumbled into a pile of pathetic excuses under his unyielding gaze. "You will pay every single cent of your bill," Jonathan stated, not as a request, but as a command. "And then you will apologize to her." He gestured towards Emily. "You will apologize for your disrespect." The air crackled. It was a masterclass in putting someone in their place. The hunters had become the hunted, and their predator was a billionaire who valued his staff more than their money. The look on their faces was a mix of shock, fear, and utter humiliation. They knew without a shadow of a doubt that they had messed with the wrong person, and the wrong waitress, in the wrong bistro. Defeated, the three men fumbled clumsily for their wallets. Cash, far more than the bill, was slapped down onto the table, a pathetic attempt to buy back a sliver of their dignity. Their faces burned with a deep, scalding humiliation. Mumbling apologies that were barely audible, they practically crawled out of the bistro, tails tucked firmly between their legs, their arrogant swagger completely gone. You could feel the collective sigh of relief as they disappeared, a promise unspoken that they would never return to darken that doorway again. The moment the door swung shut behind them, the bistro, which had been held in a tense, breathless silence, erupted. It wasn't loud or boisterous, but a wave of quiet, heartfelt applause. Diners from every corner of the room, people who had witnessed the entire ugly drama unfold, were nodding their heads in approval, their eyes fixed on Emily. They were clapping for her bravery, for her refusal to be bullied, and for Jonathan's decisive, calm intervention. It was a beautiful, spontaneous show of solidarity. Jonathan turned his attention back to Emily. He placed a gentle, reassuring hand on her shoulder, his touch grounding her in the chaotic aftermath. "You handled that with incredible grace," he said, his voice soft but filled with genuine admiration. "Standing up for what's right isn't easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things a person can do. But it's what keeps the world fair. It's what keeps decency alive." Overwhelmed by the praise, by the support, by the sheer relief of it all, Emily could only whisper her thanks. A powerful surge of gratitude washed over her, not just for Jonathan, but for the strangers who had silently supported her. In that moment, something shifted inside her. The fear and intimidation she had felt just minutes before were replaced by a newfound sense of empowerment. She had faced down ugliness and had not only survived but triumphed. As the Magnolia Bistro slowly returned to its normal rhythm, the clinking of cutlery and the low hum of conversation filling the air once more, Emily moved through the tables with a confidence she hadn't possessed an hour earlier. Her steps were lighter, her posture straighter. She was met with warm, supportive smiles from the other customers. A knowing nod here, a thumbs up there. Each small gesture was a reinforcement, a confirmation that she had done the right thing. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was the quiet hero of the evening. Later that evening, as the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Emily stepped out of the bistro. The cool evening air felt wonderful on her skin. She leaned against the railing, watching the day come to a close, and reflected on the whirlwind of events. She had learned a profound lesson. Courage wasn't about being fearless. She'd been terrified. True courage was about feeling that fear, acknowledging it, and choosing to persist anyway. It was about doing the right thing even when your knees were knocking together, and she learned something else too. Integrity, that quiet commitment to your own values, has a strange way of attracting allies. Sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places, from a quiet stranger reading a book in the corner, from a room full of people you've never met. You're never as alone as you think you are when you stand for what is right. The incident at the Magnolia Bistro didn't just fade away. It became a whispered legend, a story passed from regular customers to new ones, from one staff member to the next. It served as a constant living reminder of a simple but powerful truth: dignity will always triumph over entitlement. And that one single act of justice, one person's refusal to back down, has the power to inspire countless others, creating ripples of courage that extend far beyond a single moment, a single evening in a small, unassuming bistro. It showed everyone that kindness and respect weren't just menu options. They were the very foundation of the house. Thanks so much for watching and sharing this story with me. If it resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you do like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content that explores the power of human decency and courage. See you in the next one.